So I reconnected today with an old friend that I haven't chatted with in quite some time. And we were talking about awakening and how he's gone through his spiritual awakening last year, and how I am currently going through what I'm thinking or what I imagine is a Kundalini awakening, and just how, at what different points we're at. And it's almost like our journeys are reversed. And the reason I wanted to make a video about this is because a lot of what he was saying was so resonant with me and something I lived by and practiced religiously. When I went through that first awakening, and mostly because, being in such a dark night of the soul, you would do anything to get, a little bit of air. And so I was meditating more than once a day. I would do a long meditation at night. I would do something in the morning. I would find time in the day. And then I was living consciously. In other words, observing my thoughts at every moment in between. But when my consciousness started to contract, I could not understand how I could have sustained awakeness for, let's say, at a pretty expanded point for 8.5 months. But I think maybe we can say, for less than, what am I saying? Breathe. For less time, or less of an expanded state, there we go, for 1.5 years. And then you could really kind of see the effects or the impact of the ego taking over again and kind of falling off to sleep again, and it getting more and more difficult to sustain that awakeness. And I could not understand how one could go from that point to falling asleep again. It just never made sense to me, and I was frustrated for a long time about it. And so as we were having a chat today, I was considering this again, like how does one go from being in an awakened state to falling asleep again? And something that's actually been coming up a lot during this Kundalini exploration is how this energy, if you study through a guru or through a master or somebody who's guiding your awakening journey, how they gradually take you through the process of preparing your nervous system for this energy, right? So some people have described it as having a high voltage of energy flowing through you, but your nervous system is not able to manage it for prolonged periods, which is why people fall asleep again. And this made a lot of sense to me. Because what it felt like back then was like, trying to keep your eyes open after, drinking a bunch of Red Bulls. And so you feel really strong and energized and like you can go forever. But your eyes will not stay open. Like you're trying really hard to keep your eyes open, but you are just falling off to sleep because you're so exhausted. Now, I didn't feel exhausted from remaining awake, but the effort began to be exhausting. It became quite difficult to sustain that level of awakeness, energy in my body. And I think the best description that I've come across so far is exactly that nervous system explanation of your body being, or your nervous system being prepared to hold more and more light or energy, which helps to sustain your awakeness for longer periods. And so I don't feel any kind of like guilt or like just disappointment anymore. I did feel a lot of disappointment when I noticed myself falling asleep again. Also because of, the family stuff is you should know better. You have the tools. You should, all the shoulds, and me expecting that of myself as well, that I should be able to stay awake. I should be able to practice and live by the stuff that I now share and coach on all the time. Why am I unable to do this? And so I really feel fluff. I really feel fluff. I really feel grateful for the contraction now, because of the understanding that's coming along with it around how your physical vehicle actually works. We forget that there's a physical vehicle that's needing to be sustained and maintained and cared for. I think, which is also why doing other practices to support the release and the ability or the capacity to maintain or hold more and more amounts of energy or light in your body are so important. Things like watching what you eat, things like not watching series or movies or any kind of TV that's going to contract your consciousness. Things like listening to high vibe music and not music that's going to kind of drag you down, also again affect your subconscious mind and your energy. The people you speak to, until you get to the point of grounding that energy and expanding it where your nervous system is able to sustain it indefinitely. Maybe that's what they call enlightenment, is when you're able to sustain that level of energy and awakeness indefinitely. Until you get to that point, I think it is important to be mindful of what you are consuming. And that means food, media, conversation, everything. So, I did come to the experience of not being impacted at all by anything in my environment. It was like I was a light, everything was being impacted by me. I wasn't absorbing anything. And I wasn't being affected. And if I did sense something, which was in the periods where maybe that light wasn't as strong, then I would always know that that's not mine, So yeah, let me know your thoughts and your experiences around awakening and the Kundalini energy and being able to sustain large amounts of light or energy in your body for prolonged periods. Is this something that you've explored before, and have you experienced it? If you have, I'd love to know more. Anyway, have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys soon.